Hello, this is Darice. Welcome to Moon Life Astro. If you're new, welcome back. Thank you for coming to the channel. We talk about astrology and how to use the transits of astrology, the phases of the moon, and how to apply them to your planning, your productivity, building your business, especially if you're a solopreneur, creative, visionary, entrepreneur. Just going to get into it. We're going to talk about the upcoming astrology for this week, July 2nd through the 9th, which of course also includes the July 4th holiday if you are in the United States. I'm just going to get right into it. Actually, before I get into that, I'm going to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. That does help me get the message out to more people. With that, we're going to get into it. I want to say, first of all, normally I batch record ahead of time, but the last couple of weeks, I have just not had the energy or the focus to do that. And given that so much of what I share with you is following the energy, your intuition, honoring your own body and your own nervous system, I just had to take my own advice and do that and just really go with the flow, see what my body wanted to do. I also wanted to just try some new things. It's summer. I want to go out, do different things with friends or things by myself. And I gave myself permission to do that. And it's challenging though, because I'm an Aquarius sun and we love a system and we can be very fixed in that way. And it's hard to get out of our system sometimes. But that's the other reason why I do this work, because it's a reminder to me that I have my own natural cycle and rhythms, and so does nature. And the more I give myself permission to follow that flow, the easier things are, and the easier things go for me, the better I feel. And there is something nice too about recording closer to the actual energy of what's actually happening. I know people who batch record way ahead of time, and I know people who do it closer to the actual energy. And there are pros and cons to both approaches. I'm still playing with it. This channel is still fairly new, and I'm just going to figure it out as we go. So I just want to be honest about that. And so I am curious if other people have been feeling the same way, kind of out of sorts, can't quite seem to feel if they can get into a rhythm or get the right rhythm going, or let me know in the comments if you've been experiencing that as well. But with that, we're going to get into some of the transits that are becoming happening this week. We have two somewhat significant ones. I mean, Neptune goes retrograde. That happens every year. That's going to be happening. The big one, though, is that Uranus is going to be entering Gemini. That only happens every 7 years. So we'll get into that. But overall, this week is a window of cosmic shifts, especially for creatives, coaches, and soul-led entrepreneurs like ourselves. Themes that may emerge can be magnetic communication, visionary breakthrough, emotional clarity, and brand evolution. And hopefully, what I share with you will help you align your energies with your messages, your offers, and just to feel more in sync, more in the flow. So let's begin first with July 4th, Venus conjunct Uranus. That's going to be happening. And also Venus will be entering Gemini as well on July 4th as well. So again, like I said, it's going to be the July 4th holiday. It'll be interesting to see what happens around that time. Uranus can be disruption, the unexpected. And given all the things happening in the US, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear of unexpected events around either on the 4th or around this weekend. So hopefully it won't be anything horrible or catastrophic. I'm hoping it'll just be more along on the spectrum of just being interesting or makes people kind of go, did not see that coming. But let's see. But Venus conjunct Uranus, Venus again, our values, our money. So you might have some flashes of insight around your relationship to money, your branding, love, or creativity. Uranus can also, Uranus coming together with Venus could spark a sense of magnetism. You may experience a quantum shift in what you value, how you sell, and also what you attract. So it'll be interesting to see what manifests for folks over the weekend. One possible reflection, you could ask yourself, what am I ready to do differently in love, leadership, or self-worth? Again, what am I ready to do differently in love, leadership, or self-worth? That same day, Venus is going to enter Gemini. So we're going to shift out of Taurus and away from that grounded beauty to playful, curious, communicative energy. So this might be another opportunity to look at upgrading your message, your brand language, and your creative content. One potential business tip, you could experiment with your content voice or relaunch a product with fresh language. One of the things I'm going to be looking at later on this week or around that time when Venus goes into Gemini is looking at different ways of how to record. So we'll see what happens if that works. The other significant thing happening this week, July 4th, Neptune will begin its retrograde. That lasts about, I think, 5 or 6 months. I forgot to look when that actually ends. But Neptune retrograde, it's going to be stationing retrograde at 5:32 p.m. Eastern on July 4th. Neptune is our dreaminess, our imagination, so it can heighten intuition. And it could also heighten soul fog. So these next few months with Neptune being retrograde, you could have an experience where you're looking back at your spiritual journey, your spiritual growth, how this been going for you this year, what that's going to look like for the rest of the year with your business, your vision, your purpose. The thing to also be aware during the retrograde is spaces where you may overpromise or over idealize what you can do, what you're capable of. So these are things to be aware of, to consider. And also just because of some of the things that's going to be happening with Saturn and Neptune during the next few months, it might be challenging to really stay the course. There's going to be this sort of dynamic push-pull feeling where Saturn wants to like have structure, have limits, or say, hey, this is the way we have to do XYZ. And Neptune's going to come in and kind of upset the apple cart. It's going to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not sure if that's really in divine timing alignment. I've heard other astrologers refer to it in that way. So, excuse me. So just something to be aware of. And it's something I've been struggling with the last couple of months. Like I have a system, a plan for certain things I want to do for the rest of the year. And I also recognize that just the way the energy is shaping up, that it's important for me to still be flexible within whatever structure I create for myself and the projects I want to complete between now and the end of the year. That yes, it's good to have a system, a plan, a roadmap, and also still leave room for flexibility and creativity. Because one of the things that's beautiful from a Neptune retrograde, at least my experience of them, is that sometimes by being open to the unexpected, beautiful things emerge. So just be aware that that's something that could happen. So just give yourself grace. July 6th, we have Venus sextiling Saturn, and Venus will also sextile Neptune. Oh, so now when Venus comes together in a supportive sextile with Saturn, this can help anchor your creative ideas in sustainable structure. You know, it's a great opportunity to look at your practical habits and systems and see how they're supporting your ability to be magnetic and also your emotional well-being. So for example, for me, I've been going to the gym a couple times a week. So allowing myself to have a structure and a space and a schedule to do that. And also to try different things at the gym, things I haven't done before, different classes. Like this week, I did a cycle class or a spin class, and I haven't done a spin class in literally over a decade. And when I did it over a decade ago, I didn't enjoy it, which is why it took 10 years for me to even think about doing it again. But I went this week, and to my surprise, I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Who knew? So, you know, that could be an example of like looking at your practical habits and how it supports your magnetism. Because of course, you know, exercise ups my energy. I feel better. I'm happier. I'm more relaxed. It helps relieve stress, that sort of thing. You could also look at different ways of building new pricing models. You could look at different ways of how you deliver your product or services and your nurturing containers, you know, like memberships or group programs, for example. That energy of Venus sextiling Saturn and Neptune could be a great use of that energy. With Neptune, especially as it's going retrograde, Like I said, it's an opportunity to open the heart, your imagination, and how you want to express your soul in your business, in your vision, in your purpose. One potential reflection prompt, you can think about or meditate on, what would my business look like if it were a spiritual practice? What would my business look like if it were a spiritual practice? July 7th, we're going to have Venus trining Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a supportive trine. It kind of helps foster easeful transformation. Venus can help harmonize with Pluto and help our communication be powerful and magnetic. So it could be another use of this energy could be a great time to look at some of your content creation strategies, maybe even revising parts of your website, other branding materials. The essence of it, though, is to really lean into being authentic. That's a really big thing with Pluto and Aquarius. Are you showing up as yourself? So how is your authentic messaging coming through, either in your emails, your storytelling, and your marketing? It's an opportunity to deepen your truth, as well with like aligned connections, relationships, and look at ways in which you can maybe partner with other people. That could be a good use of that energy as well. Um, in a nutshell, this can help you clarify your core message, or even it's an opportunity if you've been thinking about relaunching something. You could use that energy of Venus trining Pluto in Aquarius to look at how you want to relaunch it with a deeper purpose. And then the big one, July 7th, Uranus enters Gemini. I did an earlier video on that on Monday. That's posted, so you can check that out. But in a nutshell, Uranus is going to enter Gemini at 3:45 a.m. Eastern, and it begins a 7-year cycle of mental liberation and innovation. Gemini is all about the mind, language, learning, media, technology. Uranus is going to bring revolution to these spaces. And I know we've already seen a lot of that. And yes, it's just going to continue. Now, as a solopreneur, a creative visionary, this is a good reminder that your voice is your revolutionary tool. So how do you want to use it? These next 7 years is going to be an exploration and massive shifts in how we all teach, learn, market, and communicate. Uranus and Gemini is going to ask us to be willing to disrupt our own thinking. So in a nutshell, be prepared to do it differently and when you least expect it. One potential prompt, what ways of speaking, selling, or connecting are ready to be upgraded or reinvented? So basically, that's it in a nutshell. It's not too bad of a week. We kind of get a breather, which is kind of nice. We've had some pretty heavy astrological transits for the earlier parts of the year. One of my astrologer friends was saying a lot of 2025 basically feels like one long eclipse, and that might be true for some of you as well. But what I'd like us to at least reflect on is, where in my business or brand am I ready to be more authentic, even if it feels edgy? Another prompt, what structure could help me feel more supported in my creativity? And what truth am I ready to speak aloud, even if it shakes things up? And I'll put those questions in the comments below as well. But basically, that's it. Just going to keep it short and sweet. Hopefully, you're having a great week. Hopefully, you're taking care of yourselves. I'm wishing you much love, ease, peace, and joy. And easefully yours, dear Reese.